Abusuani komo ewo channel so I'll say AGH Politics Avenue. Podcast or set trend because make headlines. And ya jemre na EDB exomo. Onia yebo ewra ye story ma. Office of the Special Prosecutor kisi ejaben edano no. Ning sema eba ye se omu agye prosecutorial powers efre nsem tumi a obetumi edi abo obi kwadu de na kogina court no. Omu agye efre nsem no asem no agusu ewo court na me no ka say civil society organization CSOs omu epese omu play the role of amicus curiae na yeka amicus curiae chese obi a asem na ye kan court no ono wonka ho na emom wasere court se opese obekire na adwene ewo court ho efa sa nsem no ho a me no ka say CSOs maku 14 ena court etimi amma wo mu kwan ne se omomra na omunso emekire wo mu adwene emfa sa nsem wo se hu se susu ampa se kisi ejaben ni tumi ekuta no se obo obi kwadu no ye de ma no anase empo ye gi efri nsem Mr. Ox say yembo nwura ayi nsebrim AGH Politics Avenue.
What do the 14 CSOs bring to this case?
Well, so they bring opposing views to this particular case. As has been indicated by the 14 CSOs, they do not understand why the Attorney General would appear to be in bed with the petitioner. And so in order to bring opposing clarity to the matter, they needed to join so that in the final analysis, justice would properly be served. Because, when you go to court, there's competing of ideas, competing of facts, competing of evidence. And so if there is no evidence which opposes or which is contrary to, the petitioner's case, then it appears, you're just, it's going to be a system where more like the decision will be etched in whatever it is that the person is seeking to achieve. And that really does not help in the advancement of our jurisprudence. Okay. So I'm happy that they've joined. And I do believe that in the final analysis, whatever outcomes the court may come out with will serve the interests of the people of this country.
Okay. Lala Akuto, where do you stand on this? The 14 CSOs have been admitted to join the case. We know that Attorney General, who's from your party, sort of agreed with the petitioner. And that's why the 14 CSOs decided they have to be in here. Does it change the course of the case?
Certainly, yes.
Okay.
Under the common law jurisprudence, judges do not go fishing for information, all of that. They make decisions based on the evidence before them.
Yeah.
Here's the case, the Attorney General is making the same argument, more or less like the petitioner. So it's important that we get an opposing view. And this is where the CSO come in. So it's very good the CSO are in. They will make their submission before the court. So the court will have the benefit of all facts, all evidence in making their decision. I have a strong view that, yes, the OSP performs very crucial function. However, some constitutional matters has to be addressed. The matter is before the court, and it's important that we get other views, other submission, other evidence, and this is where the CSO comes in. So I think that is good for Mother Ghana. If we want the rule of law to be strengthened, we must always allow opposing views. So I'm in for it.
Where does the principle of equity play out in this particular matter?
Oh no, like I said, the AG is right to make their view, and it's just coincidental that their view is tandem with that of the petitioner. So it's also proper that we have an opposing view, and this is where the CSO comes in. So there's nothing wrong at all. There's nothing wrong. And it's good for our democracy that we have different views. Like I said, under common law, the judges take decision based on what is before them. The judges do not go... No. It's the case before them, the facts, the evidence, the witness. That is what the judges use in coming out with their decision, because they will refer to all what is before them. So it's proper that we have these CSOs coming on board with opposing views And this will give the court the benefit of all necessary facts in determining the matter before the court.
Okay.
Just to add, equity is fairness.
Yeah.
And equity is, equality before the law. That you have a position, I have a position.
That's right.
And based on that, the judge will make a determination as to whose argument holds more water. And so, to the extent that you have, the CSOs coming into the frame and bringing to the fore issues which perhaps may not necessarily have been considered by even the AG.
Yeah.
It is important, and it helps in advancing our democracy. That's all. That's all we need. To be fair.
Well,
yes. Thank you so much, and good morning to our cherished viewers, and good morning to the lawyers in the studio, all my brothers. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Greetings from Dr. Alhaji Bawumia, the incoming president of the Republic of Ghana.
Kutua is laughing.
You'll be saying this for the next 12 years.
Are you saying this?
In 2017, you remember?
I'm saying
we beat you with over 1 million votes.
You will be saying this for the next 12, 16 years. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yes, so I think some of us are extremely happy when we saw the CSOs saying that, well, they will want to join. When it even came, initially everyone thought that the right thing to do is for the AG to go and defend that state institution. So when Noah went to court, I was one of the few people who said that he was doing the hatchet job of the Attorney General because of his history, his association with the Deputy Attorney General, where he cut his legal teeth and so on. I remember I had a banter with him on a show and told him that he was doing that work for the Attorney General. And I was really vindicated, because when I said he was doing it for Attorney General, within that period, the OSP at a point in time wanted to join. And the Deputy Attorney General in court said that, well, it's not about the individual, it's about the office. And it's the Attorney General that is clothed with a responsibility to protect every state institution. So the OSP, the court did not allow him join in that suit. Later, the Attorney General came to side with the petitioner. And everyone felt that indeed it's a calculated attempt to take off that office or stripped it with the necessary teeth that it has to bite.
But that wasn't the first time the AG was agreeing with a citizen, was it?
I'm saying that in this case, when the officer in charge of that office said, I want to defend myself, the AG says, you cannot defend yourself because we will defend you. So we're hoping that at least you said, don't defend yourself, we'll defend you. Then you go and side with the person who wants to really strip him of his powers. You get it? So clearly, the petitioner, the defendant has become really the petitioner. And that was our fear when Noah went to court. He went to court as a private citizen, but because of his association with Justice Sai, I felt that he was sent to court to go and do that job. And we were vindicated, because at least if the petitioner, if the defendant is now turned into a petitioner, it means that is that is the clear case of him going to do that job for them. Fortunately, the CSOs
how
are saying
did he turn into a petitioner? Just because he sort of agreed with the stand of the petitioner?
The problem with that office is that when you look at that office, from day one, when this government, even though in their manifesto, they clearly said that they will strengthen that office. When they came to power, the first thing is that the two most important people in Parliament, the Chief Whip and the Majority Leader, wrote a private member's bill to just scrap that office. And these are the two most important people in Parliament for the government and the party. Then there was a pushback from the CSOs and so on, that, hey, you want to scrap that office. Then the president came in to say that, well, don't scrap it. It's early days yet for you to call for its scrap and so on. Then later, this suit also came into being. So from all indications, the conversation has been that they are afraid of that office and they do not want that office to work, right? So if the Attorney General tomorrow goes ahead, especially after a disagreement, you remember on the extradition process, the Attorney General called on the OSP to submit some of the documents. When he declined to submit, said that he was independent. It's one of the reasons I see that the office must stay, but the occupant of that office is incompetent, that he doesn't need to be there. You understand? Because you're supposed to work together with the Attorney General. if you look at how he even became an Attorney General, he was nominated by OSP, he was nominated by the Attorney General.
Yeah.
You get it? So at least you're supposed to work together. If they are looking for any information, you're supposed to submit to them and so. Because he said he wanted to be independent, we saw that indeed this is really the route that they want to take, so that the Attorney General will just be any other officer, the OSP will just be any officer under the office of the Attorney General. So these CSOs, they have a history. You remember at a point in time when the Auditor General, we wanted it to have some teeth to buy it. They went to court, and they were able to get the court passed that he could say charge. Yes, he could say charge and disallow, so that at least any finding they will be able to follow through and get us money and so on. So I don't have any doubt that these CSOs will succeed, especially when you look at the CSOs. The architect of that OSP office, and if you look at the board of the OSP, it is largely institutional representation. And you have the CSOs having their reps on the board and so on. So I'm sure they will give compelling reasons why you need that office to be there and why you need that office to do independent prosecution after they are given their the authorization from the Attorney General. Because you see, this office does not one thing. They are clothed with the responsibility to do even lifestyle audits. It is not really prosecution. It is only one leg of the work that the OSP does. That is the prosecution. But they are clothed with the responsibility to do this. They prevent corruption. They also come in to do lifestyle audit. They can really do investigation, independent investigation, and so on. I was thinking that if the Attorney General is telling you that, give me the authorization to come for authorization so that you'll be able to prosecute. I don't see anything wrong with OSP going for the authorization, because after your investigation, you come out, you go to the OSP, the Attorney General asks you, decline to give you authorization and so on. You present to the public. Because per his the laws that set up that office, they're supposed to give periodic updates in every 4 months. In the 4 months, you tell the people of this country that I did this investigation up to this point, but unfortunately I cannot prosecute because Attorney General has refused to give me prosecution, the authorization to go and prosecute. And now the lawyers are even saying that one authorization is enough for the entire operations of the OSP if they are able to give him a written authorization. Just like the Yoko, because Yoko, they don't renew. They only name the number of officers, then they are able to really do it. So why can't the Attorney General grant it if today the Attorney General is to grant that?
How can the Attorney General grant when you have not placed in the request? That's a question they ask.
He did not need that. If he is adamant and he doesn't want that, if you are really fighting corruption and you think that you have come with aura and so on, and you know that he's helping you to find corruption, support him. Give him the authorization. Today, if they give that authorization, that suit is rendered moot. Because now, give him the authorization. The man is saying that you have to go through Attorney General to get authorization. That's why he's in court. Now the Attorney General says, I've given him the authorization. He can go ahead to prosecute all the cases he wants to prosecute. The only thing is that the Attorney General has the right to file nolle prosequi in this case, in all cases that are ongoing. That is the only thing that they can do. Okay. But I believe that these CSOs have really stepped in at the right time. Okay. They will have to safeguard that office. I still maintain that OSP is not competent enough. The man in charge, the SP, the man in charge today is not competent enough to hold that office. But that office must remain so that at least we'll have a semi-independent office that will fight corruption in this country.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I just wanted to make some legal education, my brother. You see, if you're the Attorney General, you're also the Minister for Justice.
Yes.
You understand? So it is not the case that because you are defending state institution, you must always stick to the state institution, even if you think the state institution is wrong. So, for example, Awal is a public servant. If and the Attorney General and the Attorney General side with Awa, it doesn't mean the AG is wrong, because the Attorney General is also the Minister for Justice.
Yes.
I mean, let us put politics aside and educate the public very well when it comes to this matters. So if in this circumstance, the AG thinks that no, the case by the petitioner is sound, grounded in law, and decide to side with the petitioner, there's nothing wrong about that. And on the issue about the AG defense or institution, that is what defend all state institutions. That is the provisions of the law. In fact, not just prosecution. There are times that state institutions write to AG for advice before paying judgment debts.
Yes.
They write for legal opinions, advice, and stuff. So the AG plays a much more broader role. In terms of the office of the OSP, as to who government does not want to have the fight for corruption, I won't sit here and talk about it. The first OSP, the special prosecutor, described the former president as the mother serpent of all corruption.
Without any basis.
Let me land.
Yes.
You see, so as for, and we saw what happened. We saw what happened when the former special prosecutor described President Anado as the mother serpent of corruption. He was kind of intimidated, he was harassed, and eventually left office. He had to resign. So today, even in opposition, he's saying that he doesn't think that the current SP is fit for the job. He's entitled to his opinion. I must be very fair to him. He's entitled to his opinion. But the point I'm making...
that's an opinion some of your members have also shared in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's nothing wrong if members, even in our government, think that the SP is not fit. But the point I'm making is that there are some constitutional issues that have been raised.
Okay.
Pursuant to Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana is here. All matters of prosecution, civil litigation relative to the state rests at the behest of the Attorney General. That is a constitutional matter. Now, Act of Parliament, when they contravene the Constitution, they are rendered null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. So if matters of law have been raised, let's address it. I'm happy Awal is talking about authorization. If it is the mere authorization that cures the mischief, we may have to explore it. And I'm happy that the matter is before the Supreme Court. You asked a simple question this morning. You said, look, the CSO joining, how does it benefit? And I agree here that it will offer us the platform to get opposing views. Because under the common law jurisprudence, judges do not go out to do investigations. No, they come out with their judgment based on the facts before them, the evidence and the witnesses all together. So if we have CSO joining this case to provide, clearly you could see that the AG has sided with the petitioner, which it has the right to do so. So the CSO joining provides a broader framework. Opposing views will be brought to bear to help judgment to be made. So just to make this clarification, that the Attorney General is also the Minister for Justice.
Just a quick one. I'm saying, when Martin Amidu said President Akufo-Addo was the mother serpent of corruption, he was never intimidated. What happened that he resigned as Attorney General, as OSP, was that he was given the opportunity to do corruption risk assessment on Ajapa. And he told the government not to go ahead to implement the Ajapa. And the government declined. So even the corruption risk assessment by Martin Amidu was accepted by the government. And we didn't proceed. The president said, go then send the document back to Parliament. Then he resigned. So that was what happened. That was what happened.
Why did he describe the...
We ain't sema hodo tim course or channel so mami and I was so jemre. That's an so bad in the Asia.